My guest is Jeff Vinik. He is the owner of the NHL's Tampa Bay Lightning. He purchased the team in 2010. I had a chance to take in the Lightning's 4-3 overtime win over the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night. It was an outstanding game from start to finish. Jeff, how are you? Thanks for joining me on Sports Business Radio.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, Brian. And it was an outstanding game. One, because we won, but two, also, it was just fun. It was a lot of action, a lot going on. So fun to play great teams like Toronto.
I tweeted out, whoever does your game ops deserves a raise, because your game ops, I've been to lots of sporting events in my career. It's as good as I've seen.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. We appreciate that. From day one, when I bought the team 13 years ago, something that was really important to us. We want to, treat our fans as well as we can, whether that's, when they walk in the door to our arena or when it's during TV timeouts during the game. And we pride ourselves on really providing great, respectful to the game of hockey entertainment.
Yeah, and you've even got some lightning in arena. I mean, you don't see that every day.
Yeah, when I asked for that, again, going back 13 years ago, I said, why can't we have a throw of lightning? And they thought I was crazy when we asked for it. And the next thing, we looked into it, and those are Tesla coils. And beginning of the game or when we score, yeah, we have real lightning in our arena. And I'm proud to say that we haven't hurt anybody in the whole time. All we've done is celebrate goals.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right, let's go back to 2010. You could have purchased a lot of different teams out there in a lot of different leagues. What was it about the Tampa Bay Lightning and the NHL that you saw? Because, Jeff, this was a downtrodden franchise. The season ticket base was very low, very little corporate support. It wasn't what it is today. What was the vision that you saw for the club when you purchased them?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I saw opportunity is what I saw. But you're right, going back to 2008, 2009, which is when I decided that I wanted to buy an NHL team because I love the sport of hockey and I was looking forward to, hopefully making a difference in a community and bringing a winning team somewhere, helping a team win. That's when I started the process. And, terrible recession at the time. There were probably somewhere between 5 and 12 teams that could potentially have been available for sale at that time. I looked at them all. Now I'm a analyst by training. I invest in the stock market. So my life is about evaluating pros and cons, major factors, minor factors. And I did that as I looked, for what I thought would be, the best available opportunity for myself and my family. So we did evaluate a lot of different teams. Frankly, I knew, again, that one of the critical ingredients for having a successful franchise and creating a successful brand is to live in the city that in which you own the team. I thought that was really important to me. And with most of my kids leaving the house at that time, and my wife and I in middle age, frankly, we'd rather have been someplace warm than someplace cold. It wasn't the only factor. But that certainly was something attractive about Sunbelt states in the U.S. And then we went into more detail, whether it was, like with Florida teams and the Lightning, population increasing 1% to 2% a year is an incredible tailwind to have. In 13 years, population in Tampa Bay has gone up 25%. Wow. That's 25% more demand for everything. And if anything, it's accelerating right now since the pandemic because there's so much good stuff going on in the region. So that was a big factor to me. Lots to do, great, exciting, growing region, history of success, led the league in attendance for 2 years in a row in the mid-2000s. Frankly, great franchise players just drafted in Stamkos and Hedman. And 3 years later, nobody else remained on the team that when I bought the team except those two. And obviously, as you know, we've won 2 cups and they're still on the team and still 2 of our very best players. And, you put it all together. The franchise was in very difficult state. The brand was irrelevant in the community. Season tickets were low. There was a huge amount to be done. And but I did see that opportunity with the love of sports here in the area, the history of success with hockey, the great young players. I did think if we ran the team really well, there was an opportunity to build a strong franchise. And what wasn't easy. Your next question may be, how did you do this? I'll answer it before you ask it. And my answer is pretty simple. As I've learned more and more, the older I've gotten, hire great people, give them the resources to succeed, and then get out of the way and let them do their jobs. And I was so fortunate to be able to hire Todd Leiweke as CEO, one of the very best in all of sports, and hire Steve Yzerman as general manager right off the bat, and one of the most respected guys, alive in hockey, and one of the smartest, measured guys, et cetera. Both really good people. I could have gotten hit by a bus the next day, and it all flowed from there. And again, we discussed strategy, but I have not in 13 years ever told my general manager, whether it was Steve Yzerman or Julien Brisebois, who succeeded Steve, I've never told them who to draft, who to trade for, who to bench, who to put on the power play. You know what? If I'm making those decisions, we got some real problems here. We have experts, whether it's our GM or our coach, the whole hockey ops department, who should be making those decisions.
Well, we tell you what, every owner doesn't think like you. There's a lot of owners that get into the weeds on that. But let me ask you this. You obviously have an excellent eye when it comes to hiring people. You just mentioned some of the executives that you've hired. What are some of the characteristics that you look for when you're IDing that talent to run hockey ops or business ops?
Yeah, and I have learned over the last 15 years through the Lightning, through our real estate company, other business ventures that I've been involved in, that I seem to be pretty good at hiring people. You've got to mesh completely in terms of values, in terms of the way you treat people, in terms of the way of integrity. All those kind of soft factors are really important. So, and it's an art, not a science, hiring people. There's definitely a scientific element. You want to understand how they've done in previous jobs. You want to check all their background and, people that they've worked with. But the art of it is, and I always use this as an example, when I'm hiring senior level people, I like to go out to lunch or to dinner with them. I want to see how they treat the waiter, right? Are they being respectful?
I love that.
Are they being respectful the way they treat the waiter? If they're barking orders at the waiter, you know what? That's probably, it doesn't mean that person is eliminated, but it's a red flag in my mind. And that's the way you kind of get at the values. Spend a lot of time with these people. You want really smart people, really good intentioned people who've had a history of success, people who are really good people, if I could say that. It's just so many of these more soft than hard characteristics. And then at the end of the day, I don't know, it's almost like I've invested in the stock market. I believe the stock market's picking stocks is more an art than a science. And at the end of the day, you have a gut feel or just an intuition. I think this stock's a buy. I think we should hire this person. And then lastly, I'll say is, I believe if you can get a person who's the best, or let's say in the top 3%, is often 10 times better than the person who's in the top 20%. So it's often worth it to pay that top 3% person, sometimes significantly more, just to get them, because they're so much better and going to have so much greater effect. And to be perfectly frank, the Lightning were losing so much money when I bought the team and in such difficult straits. If I hadn't hired Todd and if I hadn't hired Steve, I think there's a very good chance the Tampa Bay Lightning would no longer be in Tampa Bay right now. It would be the something else. They were so good that, they were able to create this turnaround, which took a lot of time and a lot of hard work, but obviously we're proud the way it's evolved.
All right, I'm going to read our audience some stats here because it is not easy to change culture. Since you purchased the Lightning, so that's 12 years, The Lightning have made the playoffs 9 times. They've been to the conference final 7 times. You've won the Prince of Wales trophy 4 times. You won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2020 and 2021, and you came darn near to three-peating earlier this year. So this is a question that a lot of teams struggle with. How do you change the culture when it's been a losing culture? It's been a downtrodden culture. Like you said, maybe the brand's not as strong. How do you, I mean, the stats I just read, those are as good as any team in all of sports anywhere in the world, as far as winning is concerned. How do you change that culture?
It's well, thank you. Also, we're obviously proud of those accomplishments, but it's old news, and we gotta do well this year and in all the years ahead. We're never going to be satisfied, but it starts day one. First of all, it starts with the leadership people. Hopefully, myself, Todd, Steve, the people that remain with the organization, the people they hire. That's where it starts, and then it is just. When I remember Todd used to talk about the story, when he would walk around the arena, if there were a tissue on the ground, he would pick it up. So people that worked there could see him doing that. He would go, me too. It's like, well, somebody just blew their nose. I can't believe I'm picking this up. The way you treat people day in and day out with respect and, just basic human decency. The way we treat our community, the way we right away gave our season ticket holders, free jerseys in our first couple of years, 25% off food and beverage, 35% off merch, our community hero. It is where we give away $50,000 to the charity of choice of a hero every single game. We're up to 13 years now and closing in on $30 million to all kinds of grassroots organization. Those are 6 things out of 6,000 things that we have to keep doing in and out every single day to build up our brand and create that culture. So it is a nonstop. I'd have to use a football analogy, blocking and tackling. It is just, it's not one major thing. It is just relentlessly trying to be better every day. That sounds like Coop with our hockey team, relentlessly trying to be better every day and continuing to make the organization improved. Our original intention, we wanted to be world class. A few years later, after we thought we accomplished it, I said, let's be world class plus. And I don't know exactly how they grade world class plus, but again, I'm proud of our culture. I'm proud of the way we've evolved, and we continue to try to do better.
Well, Sports Business Journal graded world class plus by giving the Tampa Bay Lightning team of the year. So that's a pretty good honor right there. I have had countless owners on this show in the last 19 years. I got to tell you, I have not seen too many sports organizations do what you've done in the community. I mean, you just mentioned the community heroes. I saw that the other night with the $50,000 at every single home game. I was as impressed, to be honest with you, with the fact that you gave $5,000 to every single one of your employees, totaling $1.2 million. And you said they can donate the $5,000 to the charity of their choice. I thought that was amazing. When I was at the game,
we did that in Game 6 against Colorado, our last home game, that for our community hero. Yeah. And it's funny, Brian, I'm really good. I'm not always great coming up with ideas, but I'm really good at when people have good ideas saying, I love the idea. That one was my idea. So I was really proud of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a great idea. It gives some ownership to the employees. I'm sure they love being the ones who kind of directed where that money went to their favorite charity. I was at the game the other night. I sat next to a gentleman named Jose, who has been a 30-year season ticket holder. And I'm telling you, you walk on water with he and his wife who have come to all the games. And they didn't even talk about the hockey. They talked about what you've done in the community and how you've changed the downtown area. And, that you're a genuine person, and this organization is a genuine organization. You're not just writing checks to write checks. You're making meaningful change in the community. Where does that come from for you personally? Because again, you're the leader of this organization. So everything kind of flows downward. So if you're not doing this, none of this is happening.
Yeah, let's. I don't. There are two factors here that I don't want to look over. Yeah, okay. I'm the owner. I'm the leader of the organization, but this is the DNA of our organization. This is people we've hired over time who share
Hmm.
these values. Steve Griggs, our current CEO, is fine a person as you'll meet. Julian Brisebois, the same way. So I'm just one person at the top. This is an entire organization living and breathing these values. And I also want to give a shout out to our community, and whether it's people who live here or the public sector, the corporate sector. This is an unusual place, Tampa Bay, and it is really what I call just really nice people, welcoming people. And I think they've responded incredibly well. We have tried to be outgoing and generous with the community. As an owner of a sports team, we have an obligation to do the right thing.
Mm.
And, my parents, Penny, my wife's parents, they brought us up that way. So not only is it good business, frankly, but it's also just doing the right thing. I have this position where people listen, people follow. And especially as I get older, it gets more meaningful. Let's help others out, whether it's during COVID or any other time when we can make a difference. Let's see if we can do that. Those of us, certainly an owner, but our employees, our players, the organization, we're very, very fortunate. That's not true of everybody. So if we can just share a little bit, maybe we make the world a 1% or Tampa Bay 1% better place.
Well, you not just have a great connection with the community. I noted your connection with your players the other night when Steven Stamkos was honored for 1,000 career points. You honored him before the game started. His wife was there. His kids were there. I mean, there were flowers brought by players. You were there and gave him, I think a golden stick or something to that effect. It was first class all the way. And I've heard, from lots of people throughout the NHL that you treat your players and coaches with first class. And you look at someone like Stamkos, who you mentioned has been here for a long time, and players don't want to stay that long if they're not treated well, right? Like they want to go somewhere else where they're treated better. So where does that connection with the players come from? Because dealing with a player or coach is a little bit different than dealing with, someone on the business side.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention one thing on Stamkos. It was a huge day for us, probably now 7 years ago. After Stamkos, he had his entry-level contract, then his, I believe, second contract was 3 years, unless I'm mistaken, unless I'm remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. And he was very close to becoming a free agent. And that's a time where a lot of players, I may have those years wrong, but anyway, Stamkos, maybe he was a free agent. I just can't quite remember. But we had to sign another contract with him. He could have gone to other places. He could have gone to Toronto, etc. He stayed here. And the Lightning did not have a history. A lot of Tampa Bay teams didn't have a history of players when they had the opportunity to go other places staying here. So that was really meaningful and really important that he did that. Again, different owners do things differently. I don't go into the dressing room after games. I choose my spots when I go down and talk. This is their home. This is their living room. They don't need to see me after every game. I'm looking at the big picture. I'm not going around saying, to Braden Point, great game, Braden Point, or something like that. So, the relationship I've developed with them is based on a handful of times we get together a year. We've been able to enjoy some joyous moments celebrating Stanley Cups. Certainly the highlight, whether, we with parties or a boat parade and just winning right after. But other times charity events or beginning of the season. So, I try to be very respectful of the players and their lives, the coaches also and their lives, not interfering, as I've talked about. I don't interfere at all. So, that's the way I've done it. Now, again, other owners do things very differently, and other owners have a lot of success doing things very differently, but kind of fits my personality. I have low-key personality and kind of fits what's worked, I guess, so far. And I don't want to screw it up at this point by now going and visiting after every win and every loss.
Well,
I do go after every round. My family does go after every round of the playoffs. assuming we win, I do go in and talk to the team after that. So that's one tradition that we've had that's been a lot of fun.
Well, and they seem to like you a lot at those parades. I see a lot of hugs and high fives and arms around you and things like that. So you can tell a lot about that body language and that relationship. I want to spend a few minutes talking
about the amount of beer that we all drink and champagne.
Hey, that's the time to do it, right? If you can't do it then when are you going to do it?
Exactly.
The overall state of the NHL. So franchise values are up. Just signed a new media rights deal with ESPN and Turner. Just give me your general thoughts on the overall state of the NHL. I know you had part ownership of the Red Sox, I think, for a while there. And I look at Major League Baseball and, they're kind of flat and even declining a little bit. I see NHL continuing to trend upward.
Yeah. As our commissioner will be the first one to tell you, and I'd be the first one to second it. NHL is doing great. The game is fantastic. The pace of the games, there's more scoring than there was a few years ago, so it's more exciting. And the secret sauce of hockey, NHL hockey, in my opinion, is just how close every game is and how close the standings are overall. Because we have a great system in terms of the salary cap, it really equalizes play to a pretty good extent throughout the league. And, I don't think there's another sport, the NFL would be closest, where so many games are close, with 5-10 minutes left in the game. I forget the statistic, like 70 or 80% of games are within 2 goals in sometime in the third period, and maybe 60% are within 1 goal. When you go to a sporting event, you want your home team to win, but you want it to be a close game. And when you go to a hockey game, almost always it's going to be really close and really exciting to the end. But in terms of, you talked about ESPN and Turner, so we have great partners nationally televising our games. Our ratings are as good as they've ever been, both in the U.S. and Canada. The game continues to improve. We continue to make the game better and better. And, in my opinion, and I think most sports fans' opinions, it's the best game to watch in person. So while personally I love watching NFL games while sitting on a couch on a Sunday, I love watching hockey games while sitting on a chair in the arena on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Monday or whatever.
Well, and I'm telling you one of the smartest things the league did in recent years is I love the 3-on-3 in overtime. I love it. And we got to see it the other night. Yeah. And it's so exciting. And I just think it's a different twist on things. And I loved it. I thought it was a great outcome for you guys. It was over pretty quickly. I'm wondering, do you guys practice like, hey, these are our 3 designated players for overtime, and we're going to, not mix it up? Like, these are the experts when it comes to playing overtime.
Yeah. There's got to be flexibility in who you put on the ice based on who's available, who's had more playing time, who's playing well with whom. So I don't think there's a set formula for what players come on the ice. But there's no question all teams in the league practice it. It's an important part. It's, probably over 10% of games. Players practice shootouts also, right? That's an important part of it. And it's interesting, when 3-on-3 started a number of years ago, I don't know if you remember, it was crazy. I was worried players were going to get hurt. It's still crazy, but it's more contained now, where they'll sometimes take the puck in the opposing team's end and then come out of the end to regroup and get more speed. So all teams have learned strategy-wise how to better, give their team a better chance to win. But it is fantastic. We all agree on that. Sports
betting, the NHL has deals with, I think, FanDuel and BetMGM. As I understand it, Florida, sports betting not legalized here yet. So where's the future of sports betting? Because, again, this is such a huge revenue stream for these leagues and teams now.
Yeah, it's definitely a significant positive factor for all the sports and for the NHL. We do think in Florida, sports betting, it's a matter of time. We actually did have it brought in a couple of years ago, and then it got overturned. I don't know if it was at a court level or exactly what happened there, But we do think that we will have sports betting here, and probably most of the country, although California voters turned it down in a big way.
I saw that.
But, again, what we've seen in all the sports is, my concern was you might lose the tribalism of fans for their favorite teams because they become more interested in covering the spread or betting on sports. We have seen none of that. The love, the emotional bond between teams and their fans has remained as strong as ever. So I don't see that incremental negative happening. And more and more casual fans, we believe, will get involved in all sports, including hockey, because they have other ways to enjoy it and other ways to bet on it. It's still early, though, in the evolution of sports betting. In terms of I can't remember the term; it's not progressive, but bets during games. That's still in the first or second inning of happening, or watching alternative channels or streaming alternative channels in terms of betting being shown an opportunities there, tailoring that for a different audience. We still have a long way to go to maximize the potential. Definitely incremental positive.
Just a few minutes left before I need to let you go. You sold a minority stake to Arctos Sports Partners earlier this year, I believe.
Yes.
Why did you do that? I know you're still in charge. You're majority owner. Some fans were wondering, hey, what's going on here? What led you to do that?
Yeah, Arctos are the cream of the crop in terms of this new breed of private equity companies that are investing in sports teams. You look at the roster of teams they've invested in, it is a who's who of the best in the sport. They are out in front of every other organization, and I personally am very proud to be partners with them. We don't share our financial information with them. We don't share our hockey information with them. They're invested in so many teams that's all got to be kept private to us. But what we do get, they have a list of advisors throughout all aspects of sports, whether it's media or partnership or sports betting or analytics. They have a team of advisors that is also a who's who. And we get access to those people. We get access to talking to other teams and other owners. And it's a great win-win because we learn so much from them about, ways that we can run the Tampa Bay Lightning better. So it's a great partnership. They're terrific people that are running Arctos. And we think it's a win-win for them and for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I do maintain full control, and I do maintain almost all of the rights. So in terms of fans who may worry about any of that stuff, they don't have to because, I'm in charge.
Maybe a lot of people
as you know, I'm in charge as owner, not of the power play.
Right. All right. Last question for you. And I ask this to a lot of owners that I have on the show. What's the greatest pleasure that you personally derive from owning the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Well, winning Stanley Cups was a great pleasure. Watching hockey games is why I love watching hockey games. And I guess I'd take it a level higher watching hockey games with my family. I'd put it at a higher level than that. During the playoffs, to the extent my kids can get out of work, my wife Penny and I and the kids will fly around to all the different places. And, we get a lot of great bonding and family time together. I mean, we've been so fortunate to have so many playoff games the last few years. We also had another experience where all the Medal of Honor recipients in the country descended on Tampa, 4 or 5 years ago. And to have all of them in our company and to be able to put them all on the ice and honor them was an incredible experience. I'd put that up there. I'd put that 99% of the way up there with winning Stanley Cups in terms of the greatest experiences that I've had. It's been terrific, but I love watching hockey games.
That's amazing. Well, the impact you've had on the NHL, the impact you've had on the Tampa Bay community, the impact you've had on the development around the arena. We didn't even get to that, but you've done such an amazing job there. I tip my cap to you. You're widely regarded as one of the best owners in the NHL, and continued success to you.
Well, I appreciate it, Brian. But let's not forget we're supported by a couple hundred employees who
Yep.
do a hell of a job for us.
Yep. Jeff Vinik, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thanks so much for joining me on Sports Business Radio.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.